CEO of MILE. MILE is Madinah Institute for Leadership and Entrepreneurship. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, for joining us and taking your time out. Dr. First of all, do tell us about the organization which is MILE. Plus, normally whenever we think of Saudi Arabia, we do not come up with the impression that Saudi Arabia will have universities of this level, sir. Okay. So do educate us about that, please.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank you very much for inviting me for this program. This is, by the way, my first visit ever to Pakistan, and I'm very happy and impressed with what I have seen so far. The institute, which I am the CEO of, is called the Madinah Institute for Leadership and Entrepreneurship. It is one of the first initiative of Madinah Knowledge Economic City.
Okay.
As you might know, Saudi Arabia have two main economic cities, which is Jubail and Yamba, in the east coast and the west coast of Saudi Arabia. And these two economic cities has proven to be very successful model and played a great role in the development and job creation in Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia decided to establish another 5 new economic cities in different places and locations of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and all of them operate under the patronage of the SAGIA, which is the Saudi Arabian General Investment Authority.
Okay. Is that a consortium of banks or what, sir?
Yeah, no, it is the authority in Saudi Arabia responsible for raising the competitiveness of Saudi Arabia and attracting foreign investment into Saudi Arabia.
That's like a board of investment or something of that sort.
Exactly. Okay. And they look after the new economic cities. So one of these economic cities is in Medina, and it's called Madinah Knowledge Economic City. Okay. And King Abdullah laid the foundation of this city a few years ago. And this city differs from the other cities because it focuses on knowledge industries, while the other cities focus on other aspects of economy like petrochemical industries or agriculture. The Madinah Knowledge Economic City, being in Medina, which is a very unique place, and the first capital of Islam, and the place from which knowledge has spread to all over the world. So
is that the reason why it was based in Medina, sir?
Based in Medina, and it's not very far from the Masjid al-Nabawi Sharif. It's about 3.5 kilometers.
Oh, it's very close.
Very close to the Masjid. In fact, from our offices, we can see the minarets of the Masjid al-Nabawi Sharif.
MashaAllah.
So the Madinah Knowledge Economic City was searching for an opportunity to contribute to social and economical development in the Muslim countries. And as you know, every year the reports by United Nations and World Bank rank the countries in the world, and unfortunately Muslim countries usually they come in the bottom of the list.
That's correct, sir.
And we look at this with big grief and sorrow, and we don't know what to do about that. And in fact, when you read behind the statistics, you will find that the key reason behind the low position that our Muslim countries are located at is the lack of ethical, committed, competent leaders. What they call leadership deficit. So the Madinah Institute for Leadership and Entrepreneurship was established as the first initiative of the Knowledge Economic City to contribute to bridging this leadership deficit gap. And we thought that by contributing to human capital development at the level of leadership, this is the best contribution that we can offer the whole Muslims and underdeveloped countries.
The point is that it is all about knowledge-based economy now. That is the new concept. Look at what the Americans have done in Silicon Valley. It's about the human capital. I mean, the ability of a man to perform at the optimum level is what is required at the moment.
Exactly.
Now, sir, looking at the Saudi model of economic growth, primarily we have never seen anything made in Saudi Arabia. I mean, even you go for Umrah, you end up buying a janamaz or a praying mat, basically, that's what it is called, or maybe a cap to offer praise. I mean, they're all made in China, primarily. Now what we've recently witnessed is that made in Jeddah or made in Saudi Arabia, canned fruit juice, value-added products. So this means that primarily, since the Saudi economy was based on oil, you're also shifting towards knowledge-based economy as well as manufacturing. Is that correct, sir?
That's exactly right. In fact, prior to my position in Knowledge Economic City, I used to be the vice president of Savola Group. And Savola is the largest producer in the world of branded edible oil.
Okay.
And we have manufacturing facilities in 17 Muslim countries, from Kazakhstan to Casablanca. So this is a Saudi-based manufacturing industry which have built competence in the area of edible oil and had it spread all over the world now, and have
one of the largest imports of Pakistan is also about the edible oil, but we get it from in Malaysia and Indonesia primarily.
Exactly. Right. So the Saudi economy started to diversify and stay out.
Just like UAE, for instance. I mean, look at the tourism in UAE.
Yes.
And for instance, like people go and for shopping, and they're just glowing and growing, though it's a small country, but yet see.
And I'm sure that next time you come and visit Medina, you will find lots of products which is titled, you're labeled Made in Medina. There is a big initiative now in Saudi Arabia led by Prince Faisal bin Salman bin Abdulaziz, the Prince of the Medina region, which is called Made in Medina. And it focuses on the local industries, which is to produce products that the visitors of the Holy Masjid can take back home, and it's labeled in Medina, and they are supporting all home-based manufacturers and the medium.
Are they like cottage industries, small industries?
Small industries, exactly.
Okay, so they're made in Medina.
They will be labeled made in Medina, and inshallah very soon that this made in China products, you will not find many of them. And there is lots of funding and encouragement and subsidy provided to products produced in Medina. And education, for example, I was talking now about the Medina Institute. You know, people used to come to Saudi Arabia mainly to perform Hajj and Umrah, and
or to seek for a job.
Or seek for a job, exactly. Yes. But for the first time, executives are coming all the way from Brunei, from Holland, from China, from Pakistan, from America, and they come to Medina to attend executive education training program, which is now competing with the top brands of the business schools like you see in INSEAD or Harvard or Wharton. So alhamdulillah, we managed gradually to establish the position of Saudi Arabia and Medina, in specific the holy city of Medina, as a hub of executive education and leadership development exchange. And let me also mention something which is related to my visit to Pakistan. You know, traditionally, training and education used to take place in bricks and mortar setting. You know, you have to have a classroom, and the teacher has to be there, and the students has to be there, and there is lots of accessibility constraints.
Correct.
You have to have visa, you have to have money and the travel and so on. Now with the technology, you can
sit in another country and you can work for them.
Exactly. You can deploy resources from many subject matter experts, especially Muslim professors and scholars who has migrated to North America and Canada and Australia, and they wish to serve their home countries.
Yes,
but they cannot find the right opportunity to come back home.
So you're providing that too?
Exactly. This is exactly what we do. We use information and communication technology through our online platform. We invite those professors, Muslim professors, and even non-Muslims, everybody is welcome to contribute through the online platform. In fact, our online platform is operated by a Pakistani company.
Okay,
and I am here to visit this Pakistani company.
Great.
So it's a company here in Islamabad, Cyber. They maintain our website. People think that we have an army of developers and programmers sitting in Medina.
It's no more like that. You know, you might have an army of 5 people working for the entire IT setup. Now, Professor, another one important factor is that the moment we think of Saudi Arabia, the first thing which comes into our mind, a holy, holy city, Makkah, Madinah al-Munawwara, and primarily it's more about, going there, performing Umrah or performing Hajj. And later on, the moment we think other than anything else, maybe, as I earlier mentioned, it's about a job. If you're a doctor or if you're a labor, you have places, because most remittances which we get are from Saudi Arabia, and obviously it's a brotherly country. Now the point is that Saudi Arabia has got universities. I'm sure they are, they have so many other ventures in many other areas. They're getting into manufacturing. They are also getting into services. They are also coming up as a country which has the potential to do so much. Another important fact, that most of us think that Saudi Arabia, everybody is a sheikh there, everybody is very rich, they don't work at all they need is foreign people to come in and work for them. Is that the right perception? Yes. Or is it changing over time?
You know, I think if to a great extent this was somewhat right some time ago, but now the Saudi Arabia has invested a lot into its human capital development.
Okay.
Education budget in Saudi Arabia represent 1/3 of the Saudi budget. Astronomical figures has been assigned this year and the last year by King Abdullah government in order to promote higher education and basic education. In fact, the scholarship program of King Abdullah to send young Saudi overseas and obtain their undergraduate and master program PhD, huge number of Saudis, thousands of them, literally thousands. They go now for the last few years and they are coming back and they are assuming very senior positions.
So the trend is changing now. Normally the kafil would be a Saudi, yes, and number two who will be the main person doing everything, yes, would be a foreigner normally. Yes. But in this case the next generation has shown a different trend altogether.
Yes, and the new laws also in Saudi Arabia, there is the Minister of Labor in Saudi Arabia came up with so many initiatives that ensure that each business has to be owned by Saudis, registered by Saudis, operated by Saudis, and it control all of this. During the past years, people who used to come to Umrah, some of them stay behind, and so all of those illegal residents of Saudi Arabia, they have been dealt with in a very strict way. They have been given enough notice to either to have a formal legitimate residence in Saudi Arabia, or they depart the country. So the labor market in Saudi Arabia have been restructured to a great extent. In fact, let me share with you something that we just finished 2 weeks ago in the Madinah Institute for Leadership and Entrepreneurship. The Human Resources Development Fund of Saudi Arabia have announced for a leadership development program for the potential young leaders of Saudi Arabia.
That's
and
good.
50 of those young leaders, when they announced for the scholarship, 1,000 plus applications were received in the first 3 days.
Okay.
And the application only for people who has a master degree, prefer to have a master degree, fluent in English, has at least 5 years experience in business sector. So we got above 1,000 application, hand-picked the top 50 of them. They went through a very advanced program for the past 2 weeks. And it was an overwhelming experience. And the Saudi young potential leader, they really showed that they are very competent and in par with the international. In fact, the professor who came to teach from Harvard, they told us that the quality of discussion that we have in the classroom is very much comparable to the quality of discussion that they see in the top business school in the world.
That's really, really interesting. Now, Dr. Saab, another very important point is about the overall education system in the Muslim Ummah. Whenever we think of education, primarily it's USA, it's UK, it's Canada, or it's Australia, or any English-speaking country. A lot of people do go to Europe now. But nobody goes. I still remember a lot of people from Africa and Middle East used to come to Pakistan and study here. Over the last, let's say, 3 decades or so, the educational level in the Muslim countries have gone down. And whenever we think of the top 500 universities, not even one university is in the Muslim countries, despite having that kind of resources. Do you think, sir, Saudi Arabia, being the leader in so many aspects, has taken the initiative to come up with such innovative ideas to have the top 10 universities? Because I remember I was reading an article about the Women University in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly.
That is 1.5 classes in Saudi Arabia. Tell us about that, sir.
Yes, so in fact, if we invite you to come and visit Saudi Arabia. The King Abdullah University for Science and Technology is a state-of-the-art university now, operating only 70 kilometers north of Jeddah. And it attracted the top professors in the world, Ifat College and Prince Noura College, and King Fahd University for Petroleum and Mineral, King Saud University. Many of those universities have started to achieve international ranking. But my institute, which I am the CEO of, focus on a different type of education, which is called executive education. Executive education is not for a student. It's not a postgraduate program. It is
for the entrepreneurship.
And it is for the practicing executives, people who are already working in the private or government organization and have many years of experience. Financial Times every year produce a report of the top 100 MBA program in the world and the top 65 executive education providers in the world. Unfortunately, none of them in a Muslim or an Arab country. They are not, none of them in Turkey or in Egypt or in United Arab Emirates or in Malaysia.
Why is that so? Education is not the priority for most of these countries?
You see,
normally we tend to, because since these are rich countries, people are rich, so they go abroad.
Yes.
Most probably that is the reason. Harvard or Stanford or Oxford, these are the benchmarks at Cambridge University.
Yeah. I think this is one reason. But, but we started, instead of looking at those statistics every year with a grief and sorrow and say, what a bad position we are in, we stopped and we said we have to make a decision. Professor Ihsan Iqbal, His Excellency, the Minister of Planning and Development and Reform, he was my colleague. We used to study together at University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. And another colleague of ours, Saudi, Dr. Sami Baroum, we used to meet every year and talk about how sorry we are for not having in any Muslim country an executive education and leadership development institute of a reputable status. And we made the decision and we said, if it's not now, then when? And if it's not by us, then by who? And if it's not in Medina, then where? And the idea of mine came from this. So Alhamdulillah, having this executive education program and leadership development program in Medina, I think is the first step that you will see transforming the landscape of leadership development. Every year we have almost 10 million visitors coming to Medina. With the new international airport and the new fast train coming from Mecca, the number of visitors to Medina and the expansion of the Masjid Nabawi now, if you go to the Masjid Nabawi, the whole area next to Al-Baqiyah has been demolished and there is a big expansion approved by King Abdullah. All of this increases the capacity of Medina to receive visitors.
Yes.
And we don't want visitors, as you highlighted earlier, just to come to perform the prayer and perform the Umrah and go. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran, وَلْيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. Muslims in the early times of Prophet Muhammad used to be shy to go to perform their Umrah and the Hajj and in the same time do any commercial transaction. They thought that the commercial transaction during Hajj spoiled their niyat and intention and their ibadat will not be purely accepted. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran, it is okay for you to take some worldly benefits during your visit to Hajj and Umrah.
Yes.
So what we are trying to do with that, people when they come to Medina, many of them spend like 8 days because some have believed that you should pray at least 40 prayers. And 40 prayers is 8 days, so because 5 times 8 is equal to 40. But in the for 8 days, performing namaz in the masjid will only consume, let us say, 1 hour per each namaz.
All
this
the 5
is 5
days
hours.
put together, yes.
Yeah, 5 hours. So what you do the remaining of the day? So we are organizing now lots of educational and the cultural events.
Even tourism is of a great idea because I remember I have seen the place where this Ghazwa Uhud took place.
Exactly.
So I have been there, and but Professor, last quick comment.
Okay.
Something which really bothers me. I know there's 57 Islamic countries. Almost there are more than 1.6 billion Muslims in the world. Alhamdulillah, the population is increasing. But when I look at the figures, look at the resources which the Islamic countries they have. But their GDP put together is 1/3 of Germany and 1/4 of Japan. Why not towards value addition and moving in the right direction? What needs to be done, sir?
I think the critical thing is the human capital development. The lack of committed, ethical, trustworthy, competent leadership is behind this. And there are lots of funds that has been channeled and funded to underdeveloped Muslim countries, but it gets sucked and it disappears and it does not have the sustainability. So, and that's why we should focus in human capital development and make sure that we have new generation of committed, competent leaders who can,
the good decision makers.
Yes, and they can lead the social and economical development in our countries. So I think this is where we need to start.
All right. Thank you very much, Professor. It was a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Pleasure too.
And good luck in your future endeavors, sir.
Thank you.
With this, we come to the end of our first segment, and in our next segment, we'll be talking to Professor Ibrahim, the member of the committee who's negotiating with the Taliban, and we'll talk to him about the updates and the details. Just stay with us. We'll just take a short break here.